How's it going, everybody? This is your Astrology Horoscope for the weekend of March 2nd and March 3rd, 2024. I'm astrologer Alex Skyles, and welcome to the Moonbase. Hope you guys had a great week. Happy weekend. It's good to be here with all of you. If you're new here, subscribe to my channel, like this video, share the video, go to all the links in the description of this video, go to my Instagram, follow me on Instagram, go to my website, book a reading. All the links to all my platforms are in the description of this video. So, this moon in Scorpio this weekend, coming into Saturday, isn't really making any aspects. So, there's this void, of course, happening, until the moon comes into Sag. And when the moon comes into Sag, that's when things are going to get kind of magical, right? In a kind of trippy way. I think it's going to be a kind of a trippy weekend, so we want to hold on to the reins as much as we can, I love what I mean by that is I love the two Pisces and Sag are two of my favorite signs of the zodiac. I have a fascination with them, right? I'm a 12th house sun. I'm Sag moon. I love the magic of those two mutable signs, right? It's very down the rabbit hole, psychedelic energy, both traditionally ruled by Jupiter. So it's very much like seeing beyond, expanding larger, having a bigger vision, our beliefs, our faith, our philosophies, our spirituality, transcending to a higher consciousness. So this moon in Scorpio isn't really making any aspects. It kind of went through some havoc over the past few days, squaring over to Mars and Venus, and we kind of got these very deep reflection points when the moon opposed Jupiter, and definitely some very massive triggers in our relationships when the moon opposed Uranus. So this moon's catching a little break before it kind of gets into Sag here, into Sag mode, right? So I think what's really exciting, this moon is going to sextile over to Pluto. And, I think emotionally, we're feeling this sense of confidence and freedom coming into Saturday morning of wow, you know what? I want to take a big journey today. I want to dig deep. I want to find a new place within my own self and in my own mind that I've never been before. I think this moon sextile Pluto is kind of uncovering places and emotional states within ourselves, within our beings that we haven't really uncovered before. And I think it can kind of be exciting in a very Pluto Sag kind of way, right? This is a very exciting energy coming into Saturday. I think there's this kind of electric and ready to kind of go out and do some fun shit today. I think it can be kind of a fun energy to kind of do some really exciting things and find new things that you didn't think you'd find, right? And this moon, it's gonna make some pretty wild, intense aspects with Saturn and the Sun and Mercury. Saturday night, going into Sunday, and this moon is gonna square over to Saturn, square over to the Sun, and it'll square over to Mercury later throughout the day on Sunday. So I think Saturday, it can be kind of a relieving kind of energy to really kind of pop the zit, and it could kind of break us out of our comfort zone. It's this moon in Scorpio we had on Thursday and Friday, things really got stuck. I think this moon making great aspects to Pluto can kind of help us get out of the rut, right? And this moon making these squares to Saturn, Sun, Mercury, and Pisces, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's really checking in, right? Checking in with ourselves, checking in with our spirit, checking in with our higher power. Checking in if we've kept things clean. Are we staying honest at this moment? We want to go on a big journey. We want to, discover new things. We want to learn new things. I think definitely kind of testing the boundaries this weekend can be healthy. You want to also keep your boundaries in check at the same time, but testing, how far can I push it? but you don't want to push it too far where you kind of get out of touch with reality. So this is the thing about Sagittarius and Pisces, and when they square, it's very Alice in Wonderland kind of energy to me, right? Down the rabbit hole, Wizard of Oz kind of shit, but this is where you really find out about yourself and find out about your inner world and your spirit and your beliefs and your philosophies. I think this weekend, there can be some experiences that we can have this weekend that can really be highlighted, that can really, shape our beliefs and our philosophies and our higher mind in a new way. With this moon squaring over to Mercury, I think there is this higher octave of spirituality and freedom that we want to kind of transcend towards. And I think when this moon squares over to these bodies in Pisces, we can really find some new magic in our lives, right? But it's also going to be testing us, hey, we're expanding our beliefs, we're expanding our philosophies and our spirituality, but can you maintain your boundaries? This isn't a weekend where we want to go off and do some wild, crazy shit and party too much and go overboard with things. This is a very spiritual weekend. A very good time to focus on our spirituality and focus on learning new things and wanting to take in new things on a spiritual level, on a philosophical level. I think this is a really good weekend to really dig deep spiritually. And later throughout Sunday too, after we get, honestly, in the middle of it, the moon is going to sextile over to Venus and Mars in Aquarius. And as that's happening, Sunday night, Venus is going to be squaring Uranus. It's going to start its square to Uranus here. So definitely with kind of how we're testing our boundaries this weekend with the moon squaring Saturn and Mercury and the sun, this can kind of bring up what we went through with this Cazimi that we had last week with Mercury, Saturn, and the sun. Of we got the message, now it's kind of what's coming through, the energy that's coming through with this moon and Sag is really helping us, really think about those things in a different way, and ask questions about the questions that we've had all week and ask questions about, these new thoughts and these new ideas that we've had come through this weekend. But I think it's also connected to our relationships as well and how those things are changing and how we really have to kind of, not just be stuck in the same place. And this has been a theme this past week of wanting to break the routine with this Venus and Mars in Aquarius and not be stuck with these fixed energy. And when the moon was in Scorpio, that was very challenging with just, wanting to get out of the rut and get out of the same old kind of pattern. So this Venus squaring Uranus is definitely going to be kind of shocking us a little bit to get out of a routine, get out of a pattern and not be so, same old, so to say. So we want to try new things. We want to think about new things. We want to see the color and the beauty in things this weekend. There's a lot of magic that can happen this weekend. A lot of beautiful things that can come in. We just came off that Sun-Jupiter sextile as well. So, we can start to see how that supportive energy is expanding us even further, right? And with this moon and Sag, Sagittarius being ruled by Jupiter and Jupiter, traditionally ruling Pisces, we're in a very Jupiter kind of weekend, so with this Venus square Uranus too, it's we want to really dig deep and kind of put things under the microscope that's connected to our relationships and our finances and our creative projects and all these kinds of things and the people that we're connected with, it's and it might even get to the question of are these relationships friends? Are they more than that? Are these just connections? Are they just acquaintances? What are these relationships, And I think things can kind of change very quickly this weekend, and in any direction. Maybe a friendship can become something more, or maybe something that was thought to be more than a friendship. It really just was a friendship. Or maybe it's not a friendship at all. Maybe there is no connection there at all with this Venus squaring Uranus. So, we want to think big this weekend. We want to think large, and think about things in a big way. See the bigger vision this weekend. This isn't necessarily a Mercurial weekend. This is very much a Jupiter weekend. We want to think about things and ask questions, see things in a bigger light. This isn't a weekend where it's like we're making solid, concrete plans and ideas. We just did that with Mercury and the Sun and Saturn together. We just really laid the foundation. Now it's like we want to think even bigger and larger and, visualize and meditate on things, and project onto these positive, amazing things that we are starting to manifesting at this moment. Jupiter is on its way to Uranus. So, I think there is some challenges this weekend, but other than that, it's really just not being afraid to just morph and change and try new things. And, when Venus squares Uranus, it can get a little shaky, and, I think we just have to keep breaking the patterns and keep breaking the routines and keep breaking the areas where we can get stuck and, not want to change, right? I think this weekend's all about change and thinking big and thinking broad. So we want to think as broad as we possibly can, and this moon will trine over to Chiron too. So I think at the end of this phase coming in to Sunday, we want to really, do some action-packed things that's really going to help us heal. We want to, I think with the healing that's coming through, we're off this Chiron North Node. Like we're over the hill on that. So it's like we can really, see some, amazing things come through with where we have been focusing on our healing in our lives, with ourselves, we want to go out and do fun things this weekend with this moon and Sag. It can be very healing. It can be very helpful. We can come up with new ideas, and new ideas about ourselves and really see ourselves in a new light, with this Chiron in Aries. So, and then as that's happening on Sunday, the moon will square Mercury as it's trining over to Chiron. So it really is. It's like, okay, we want to be able to see the bigger picture of the future version of ourselves, right? Like moon in Sag, Mercury in Pisces, moon and Sag trining over to Chiron. We want to be able to project on the version of ourselves that we want to be and see in the future in a much more positive way, right? And that's not always easy to do, and we definitely don't want to get too hot in communication. Like if there's some friction in conversation or communication, I think we want to be easy. We want to be smooth. It's easy for the moon and Sag to just kind of fucking get too loud and, say, fuck this, fuck that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's like, we want to come at things in a soft way. I think this Mercury in Pisces really wants to communicate in a very compassionate, loving way, and sometimes the moon and Sag can not be so thoughtful and compassionate. Not that it's not caring and loving, it just is fiery. It's very intense. So, I think what's going to help is just being willing to see the bigger picture and focus on the bigger picture this weekend and not get too caught up in the little teeny weeny tiny details. Right? The teeny weeny tiny details don't matter this weekend. So if you're getting caught up in the tiny details this weekend that are kind of useless and pointless, that's what's going to be difficult. That's what's going to be really hard. So, it's gonna be fun. You want to go out and do things physically. Learn new things. Read a book. Read some new information. Visualize on things. There's a lot of mutable energy this weekend. On top of this fixed energy. That's kind of been this ebb and flow we've had to deal with for the past few weeks here in Pisces season. It's like having all this mutable energy, also with a handful of fixed planets. So it's kind of contradictory, you know. But I think the lesson this weekend is to just keep expanding and keep visualizing and not focus on the small things. Don't sweat the small shit. If you get caught up in the Virgo details, like, you know, it can be slightly disconcerting and neurotic. So, you know, and we can find a new sense of freedom, you know, this weekend too. So this world card, I think this is bringing up this Venus Uranus square. You know, Uranus and Taurus. Taurus rules Venus. Venus squaring Uranus. Venus in Aquarius. Uranus ruling Aquarius. So I think, you know, when it comes to our values and it comes to our connections and the people that we're connected to and the values that we share, you know, it's like this weekend, you know, we're kind of feeling challenged by that, or maybe people we're connected to where it's like our values just, they're not the same anymore. It's changed. You know, that's kind of the vibe with all this mutable energy, but also all this fixed energy, you know, making squares to each other. It's like our values and the connections and the people that we're connected to, like, they may have changed. You know, things have changed. So it can be very much a moving on this weekend and letting go and accepting that things have changed, you know. It doesn't mean, you know, you have to totally cancel out people in your life or partnerships in your life or projects, you know, or anything, you know. It's like you want to protect your resources. You want to protect your relationships. You want to protect the people that you're committed to, you know. But at the same time, it's like there's a lot of power in this world card. You know, and it is all about, you know, whenever things do get kind of stuck, when things do feel stuck, there's always going to be a moment where the tectonic plates kind of shift until they settle. So, and, you know, it is kind of like an earthquake. We may see some earthquakes this weekend with this Venus square Uranus. You know, I mean, that's kind of been what Uranus and Taurus has been about. It's like we've seen a lot of geological shifts, you know. We may see the financial markets kind of go a little haywire, even though they have been for the past few weeks, you know. You've seen Bitcoin go way up, you know, where we haven't seen it since 2021. You know, we're seeing massive companies sell stocks. You know, it's like something's going on. Something's going on here. So this Venus square Uranus is definitely going to trigger some shit in the world. So we're going to see some massive change. And with all this mutable energy, we want to be able to flow with it and roll with it and find new ways. Find new ways to connect. Find new ways to bring in new information. You know, information and knowledge gives us power. And that's what Sagittarius and Jupiter teach us, is that knowledge is power. And you know, I think this weekend, keep visualizing, keep seeing the bigger picture, keep focusing on the version of yourself that you want to see in the future with this moon trining over to Chiron this weekend. You know, I think overall this weekend could be very positive, you know, despite this Venus square Uranus where relationships and all Venus things can be a little hectic and chaotic. So, I hope you guys have a great weekend. And I will see you all next week. Peace out.